It's exactly 7:31 on Thursday night. We almost got there. We were so close. If you only saw what was going on behind the scenes here, I am a dad. I'm actually a real person. I'm not just on your YouTube and your TikTok all the time. I was helping my kid with her homework, and the producer Juan's like, "Hey, you ready to go?" With about 2 minutes, and I'm like, "Oh no!" And I run upstairs. I'm trying to get all the lights off, trying to get everything going. But it is almost 30. We were so close this week. I'm very proud of you, Juan. We're gonna get there. I just know we're gonna get there. Look, it's Purple Pen Night. You know what that means. If you're over here on the TikTok, please come on over to the YouTube. I will put it up for you right here on the YouTube. Here's my 2 cents with your boy, Keith 2 Cent Sanders. Hopefully you guys can see that there. I would love for you to come on over. Here's my 2 cents. We had the State of the Union the other night. If you didn't get a chance to see your boy, we actually got to do it live, which was super awesome, actually. And hopefully we could do that more going forward. Sorry to not give you my full attention over here. I was still trying to get the TikTok going here. Again, if you are over here, please come on over to YouTube. Here's my 2 cents. I'd love to have the conversation with you. When you write to me over here on YouTube, Juan puts it up on the screen for me. We can have that dialogue. Juan, yeah, had a nice conversation the other night. It was nice to have Leon from Council of Colonels, TC from Veterans Nation. That was super cool. I think we need to do more of that, so we'll talk about that. I think people liked it as well. I actually had some people reach out to me and say that they really like that. So perhaps maybe we could do some guests here and there. Let's talk about the big one. I think, of course, the media had to spin and make this to be the greatest speech that has ever happened. It's right up there with ask not what your country can do for you, but what you can do for your country. It's right up there with the only thing we have to fear is fear itself. And also up there with it was nothing but just chef's kiss. Perfection. It wasn't an old man yelling for no reason at random times. It wasn't another fake word that he came up with. I think it was, if you try to raise taxes or make up for jobs, I will veto it. I think that one was in there. It was nothing but just perfection, and it was inspiring, and it was great. I would just love if maybe somebody can, maybe we'll do this next week. Take when he does one speech where he's about immunity, and then he comes out and does the red speech, and half of you in the nation are awful, and you're terrorists, and you're aligned with insurrectionists, and if you're against us, then you're against the country. And then he again comes out for his State of the Union and says that the union's never been stronger. Because I know I'm stupid, and you guys know I'm stupid. If you're over here on TikTok, you know that I'm stupid. And if you are here on TikTok, please come on over to the YouTube. Here's my 2 cents. We'll get that dialogue going. If you stay here, you have to give me likes. You have to give me likes if you stay over here, or shares. I would really like, maybe we'll take some time and we'll put up when he calls for the unity, and then he calls the rest of us insurrectionists, and then the unity, and then the insurrectionists. And maybe we'll just be able to put those up side to side with each other, because it's exhausting. It's just absolutely exhausting. And I really get sick and tired of it. Maybe if the guy did just run on, or not, sorry, well, technically ran, but we're going to get to that here in a second. If he did just communicate, hey, we have our differences. If you disagree with me here, that's fine. Let me give you my point of view, and let me tell you why it's a good thing. And if you disagree with me, just give me the opportunity to talk to you. But then again, you have to think about when he was doing that, the whole red speech nonsense. I always think of the Red Wedding when I think of that. It was almost as gory and bloody and horrific. Maybe it wasn't gory. But anyway, I digest. Back in, when did you do that, September? The Democrats were reeling. The polls were in the wrong direction. They had no policy to run on. You can't run on foreign diplomacy because the war in Ukraine had already started. You can't run on our standing on the world because Kim Jong-un was firing missiles left and right over the Sea of Japan. You can't run on how he's running his military, which he's the commander-in-chief of, because it was an absolute disaster on the way out of Afghanistan. They couldn't run on the economy because inflation was through the roof. They couldn't run on anything other than to lie about the jobs numbers, and that somehow he created those, and that people going back to work equals created jobs. So what they had to run on was what's called demagoguery, which is always what they accuse the right of. So again, hey, love seeing you over here. Fire Talk Radio, good evening. Love seeing you. If you're over here on the TikTok, please come on over, talk with me. Here's my 2 cents on the TikTok. So all they could run on was demagoguery. So of course, whenever they're accusing the other side of something, look at them, take a second, and you'll be able to see that that's exactly what they were doing. So yes, I get it. At the time, he had to give that speech. If you're against us, you're with the insurrectionists. And you got to remember the whole January 6th sham hearings was still going on. It was still pretty fresh. And that's all they had to run on. And now he's got to pivot at his State of the Union address because, and I'm thinking that my initial reaction was incorrect. When I was on the live, if you guys missed it, we did a live during the State of the Union. I was talking with TC from Veterans Nation. I thought that Biden continuously saying, finish the job, finish the job, finish the job. That was clearly Hillary, stronger together, stronger together, stronger together. And that's a slogan, obviously. But what was the slogan applying to? I thought that initially the slogan was, let's finish the job in the next 2 years. Let's get this done in these next 2 years. I don't know. Let me know what you think over here on TikTok, even better over here on the YouTube. Do you think that's the slogan? Was that a soft announce for a 24 run? TC and I were talking. We don't think that the establishment, that Barry's folks are going to allow him to run a second time. I don't think that Kamala is the shoo-in that she's going to get to take over and get this nomination. I just think really, I don't think the DNC wants the guy to run. Let's say he wins again. He gets another 81 million votes and he wins again. He'll be closer to 90 when he leaves office than he would be to 80. And we all see his cognitive abilities slipping right now. We all see his inability to govern right now. What's he going to be like when he's well over 80 and he's pushing 90? That's pretty damn old. I don't know if that's the type of situation we should be putting that much stress on any human being. And I don't know that the DNC is going to let that happen. So I'm not exactly cemented yet on where I think that stands. They are starting to print Joe Biden nonsense on the Twitter, and by print I mean release, and it has finished the job with some stripes. Clearly they've put this through focus groups and they've tested this out, finished the job, and this logo looks good. Man, it might be for a 24 run, but I just don't think that the DNC lets the guy run. This one is a conundrum. Let me know what you guys think over here. If you are over here, you got to tap the screen, and I would much rather that you come on over to the YouTube. Here's my 2 cents. That's my initial feeling on that. I'm not exactly sure. And that sucks, because normally I can really draw a line and I know definitively this is where we are at. I'm starting to think maybe it was a soft announce for a 2024 run. But again, I don't know that Barry and company, the DNC, allows him to run again. All right, let's talk about some of the false claims. And I've been loving fact checking that's been coming out afterwards that continues to bolster the lie. For example, the more jobs created in 2 years than in 4 years. There was some fact checking I saw on the TikTok, and they said they were going to also include needs context. The first one right out of the gate was he has created more jobs in 2 years than presidents have in 4. They wanted you to know that they were reputable because they went so far as to even say a 4-year overlap where it went from one term to the other, because it would be implied that the 4 years that he's talking about was through one term. So they said, let's go even a little further. And Bill Clinton, from term 1 to term 2, there was a 4-year span in there, 2 and 2, where there was a greater amount of jobs added than in the 2 years that Biden has had in one term. So that was them being reputable and credible, and look at us, we are definitely not biased. But they completely and utterly leave out the fact, not the context, the fact that this is not creating jobs. These were jobs that were taken away when the economy was put into a coma for the response to the pandemic, and then they came back. That is not creation. And it would have been nice if in that moment they said, hey, let's put a little context to this. This is not created. These jobs came back after the pandemic. And if you really wanted to put context in it, you could then say the red states opened up earlier. The red states' economies came back earlier. The red states contributed to the returning of jobs before the blue states did. That would have been nice, but of course that can't happen. Fact checkers just in general drive me absolutely crazy. And if you're over here on the TikTok, please come on over. Last time I'm going to mention it to you, but you got to tap the screen if you're going to stay over here. Much rather see you over here. Gregory says they're great at manipulating data. So there's lies, there's damn lies, and then there's statistics. With statistics, you can find anything you want in there. You can rate of change, changeover rate. You could take a small portion, a large portion. You could take the top. You could do anything you want with statistics. Statistics drive me absolutely crazy because they are easily, and I mean easily, manipulated. However, wouldn't it be nice to have an educated electorate. Wouldn't it be nice to have a liberal media, a classical liberal media? Don't flip out on me. Don't flip out. I don't mean the liberal in the sense of what we have now. Liberal media in the sense of standing up for the people against whomever is in power. That if whoever is in power, or whomever, whenever, whoever's in power, we need to hold them to account. But they are completely in the bag for, they are the PR wing of the Democrats, of the liberals. They do push the narrative. Case in point, it's not on the State of the Union, but with that stupid balloon, after it was debunked that President Trump did not know about it, nor did he then choose to not shoot it down, nor did he hide it from the American public. You still had Joe Scarborough on Morning Joe with his pompous sidekick slash mistress slash girlfriend sitting up there high and mighty and all kinds of pious and better than you, saying that Trump was a coward because he didn't shoot it down, he hid it from the American people, after it's been shown that wasn't the case. But we live in a society where you can just say whatever you want if you're a liberal. That's not going to get taken down for misinformation or disinformation. Hell, you still have Rachel Maddow, who has a tweet out that says, and I can't say it out loud, what I'm about to say of her lie, me calling out her lie is going to put me in jeopardy over here for sure, and potentially in jeopardy on YouTube. She has a lie out about the effectiveness of a medical procedure. You can do your own math on that one. Do the math on that one. She has a lie that if you get this certain medical procedure, it has an effect that it doesn't have. And she released this alongside with what other medical professionals were saying at the time, which was a lie. That misinformation and disinformation can constantly be out there. But if I say that person said this was a lie, I get taken down for misinformation and disinformation. This is where we live. And we also have Joe Scarborough out there still saying that Donald Trump did something that did not happen. Main reason is because Trump derangement syndrome will never die. That will never ever die. But back to the State of the Union. I really don't like seeing you guys over here because you're not tapping the screen. You got to come over to the YouTube. Here's my 2 cents. Come on over to the YouTube. I need my comments up here. People are getting them in there. One. State of the Union. I want to talk about how the media, and I started off with this and I kind of digested there. The media wants to give credit to Biden and team that he baited the Republicans. Thank you. Love seeing Dexter. 2 cent, one of my favorite people. False. Fact check false. I am your favorite person. I am doing a great job, and you are awesome. I appreciate you. That last part is fact check true. You are awesome. Thank you for being here. The media wants to say that Biden and company baited the Republicans into taking Medicare and Social Security off the table. I saw another one that they said he played rope-a-dope and he tricked them. No, he didn't. He got called out in real time. The left, the media, one and the same. The Democrats, the media, one and the same, have been saying over and over and over, and they did this in the election, that the Republicans want to cut Medicare and they want to cut Social Security. It's a bold-faced lie. You know who did say that he wanted that? And I wish I had pulled it up. They pulled up a floor speech from Biden from way back in the 1800s when he was saying he did want Medicare and Social Security to sunset, and he did want that to be voted on. But when he does it, of course, everything's fine. He probably forgot. Honestly, the guy's been in federal government for 94,000 years. He's going to forget a few things. However, what they do is they take Scott's, senator from Florida, his plan to sunset every 5 years in order to audit what's being spent and then to ensure that we still need to keep these programs open. Boom! They run with that and say he wants to cut Medicare and Social Security all over the airwaves, every single leftist, every single mainstream media type. They want to cut Social Security. They want to cut Medicare. Boom, 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 boom. No, we want to make sure that we want to still keep paying what we are paying, all programs that are underneath the federal government. And Medicare and Social Security are going to be those, and we need to determine in those every 5 years, are we spending the right amount? Maybe we're not spending enough. Maybe we need to reduce it. Maybe it needs to be augmented. Maybe we need to take some new things into consideration. But the media has been allowed to, the Democrats have been allowed to run with, they want to cut Medicare and Social Security. And what I've been screaming about on here and on TikTok is we need to get these folks onto these leftist outlets, which he did. He went on there and defended it, which was fine. 1995, See Fire Talk Radio knows exactly what I'm talking about, is when Biden said that he wanted this to sunset and go over. But when Republicans bring it up, they want to cut everything. Celia, you're always here. You're the best. We need to get the ban back on propaganda. So we have to have freedom of speech. However, we have to have open and honest dialogue. People have to be allowed to rebut what has been said, and then their side not be reduced, their side not be limited, i.e. on Twitter in the new town square. So, but I do appreciate you being here. Donald's on mainstream media stating Social Security would run out of money shortly. So Social Security, this is just 2 cent talking. Social Security, listen, I'm 42 years old. I don't think Social Security is going to be there when I need to collect it. I have never in my 20s, I thought that was the case. I don't think it's going to be there, folks. I don't know. I have read that the money that they use from Social Security to lend out, they then collect interest on it. And if not having collected that interest, then other things would have gone solvent. I feel like that's a bit of wordsmanship there. I just don't think it's going to be solvent by the time it's that I need to collect on it. But that's just me. I don't care who's in office. But I do give him credit for going to the leftist outlets and then actually defending what his side was. But let's go back to the State of the Union. They say that Donald Trump, they say that Biden pulled a fast one, baited them, rope-a-dope, and got them to declare they're not going to put that on the table. I say it's the exact opposite. I say it's the other way. He went up there lying again, and in real time was actually fact-checked and was heckled/corrected when they said, not true, you're lying, that's not what it is. And then he had to say, okay, so you're saying it's off the table when we negotiate? And they said, yes. And he goes, great. So if anything, there was a little bit of communication that went on there, which wasn't horrible. But of course, the media has to spin. Biden is amazing. He's this he deftly maneuvers and muscle for rank politician who's playing one on the Republicans, who pulled a fast one and got them to take off the table. It wasn't on the table. But because the leftist media gets to communicate lies all the time, this is where we are, that people and the electorate think that the Republicans wanted to cut Medicare and Social Security. No, the plan stated every 5 years, we need to look at what the federal government is spending its money on so we can make sure the money is going where it's supposed to, that we still need to pay that amount. Maybe we should be paying more. Maybe we should be paying less. How is that money being used? It's fiscal responsibility. Blanket putting it out there and putting large, vague restrictions on it and allowing it to just plow through without any updates is what they're trying to get rid of. That's exactly what they're trying to get rid of. But like I've made mention of over and over and over, they get to lie, twist, distort, and then they get to say that the Republicans want to get rid of Medicare and Social Security. Well, in real time, he called them out, and then they got to communicate, and it's done. Great. That's done. That's great. We're not doing that. Now, maybe what can get communicated out there is, hey, let's make sure that we're taking a look at what we're spending our money on. I don't know if that can happen in this Congress. That would be amazing if we could. But I'm sure, of course, that is somehow bigoted in some way, that we want to make sure we're spending our money on what we're supposed to be spending our money on. Okay, I think I beat that one to a pulp. Did I? I feel like I did, because that one was bothering me. Listen, if you guys are still over here on the TikTok, I do appreciate the likes, but we're going to need a hell of a lot more if you're staying over there. Or come on over to the YouTube. Here's my 2 cents on the YouTube. I love all of you. But then I have my friend like George. I get to talk to George. I can't talk to you over here, but I can talk to George because he's on the YouTube. I do like the cowboy hat, though. Thank you very much. How dare we have accountability? Let's talk about accountability, George. I love you. Thank you for being here. Accountability like, I don't know, billions of dollars sent to a country currently at war. Can we have that accountability? No, because that makes me a sympathizer to the bad guys. No, that makes me an American who goes, where'd you send my money? Where did the money go when it got there? Who's got the money? What was it used for? That's what I want to know. I am not saying I'm for nor against the support. I am for knowing where the money went. Can we just know that, please? Can we find out? No, we're not going to be allowed to, but we're going to send over more money. We're going to send them money, and then they're going to pay us for things. And it's like, I don't know if you've seen that meme. It was actually a joke against Bernie Sanders' economy, and it's a power strip, not plugged into anything. And they take the plug side and they plug it into the power strip. And he says, that's his economy. That's exactly what we're doing in those situations. We give them the money, then they pay us for things, then they get the thing, and then we don't have the thing, whatever it is. Also, I want to know what the plan is for how we're going to supply them. We had a hard line of tanks. Now we're sending them tanks. The next hard line is aircraft. Well, now Zelensky wants aircraft from the European nations. And the European nations are saying, okay, we'll send you aircraft. Here's our F-16s. And then the Americans say, well, then we'll backfill your F-16s. Okay, because we're not actually giving them F-16s, right? So Poland gives Ukraine F-16s and we give Poland F-16s. We didn't give them F-16s. I don't know if you guys know this, but F-16s aren't like the easiest to fly. There's systems, there's weapons, there's planning for, there's maintenance of. That's probably the hardest thing that has to do with it. I mean, you could give a monkey like me or Juan the stick and we'll probably be able to land it. I have faith in Juan. I got some faith in me. You give me the stick, I think I put it down. I don't know. I think I could put it down. I think I got it. You just give me the approach speed I need. I think I can hold it. But anyway, I put it down like butter. I'm talking brick one. Anyway, I digest. Who's flying the planes? Who's operating the tanks? Because we're definitely sending those over. Did we remove any of the classified portions of that system? I'm not going to say what they are. I'm not going to intimate at them at all. There are things that it can do that it can't do. That's correct about any system. So are we removing? Are we augmenting? Are we adding? Are we sending over maintainers? Are we sending over the proper documentation? I mean, this is extremely detailed. I understand that, but that's what it takes to operate these machines. What's going over with them? Who's operating them? We have the best in the world operating our machines, and then we're just going to, with years of training, years of constant currencies that they have to upkeep and check rides and all kinds of exams and training and retraining and upper amounts of training. And then we're going to send these systems over there. Who's operating them? Who's maintaining them? Who's paying for the maintenance? Is it the money that we're sending over there? But of course, me asking for that means that I'm a sympathizer to the wrong side. But back to the State of the Union. I did hear him in the end say that the union is strong. The union ain't strong, Joe. I don't know where that's coming from. And again, it goes back to what I was saying at the beginning. We get one speech where you're asking for unity, and then the next one you come out and say anyone who's against you is an insurrectionist. And then the next one out is we're all doing great and everything's great and we're all fine here. We're all fine here now. Thank you. So which one is it? Things are not fine. The economy is not fine. They still are getting allowed with saying that he's created more jobs than any other president. They're still getting allowed they're allowed to get away with saying that inflation is reducing. No, this year's inflation isn't as bad as last year's inflation. That's what it's saying. You have inflation on inflation. Year over year bad, but not as bad as the year before. Folks are hurting. They're still going on about rising wages, which are being eaten up by inflation. We do have layoffs. They're trying to cover that up and say it's just in the tech industry. Walt Disney just announced 7,000. And they're in the entertainment business. 7,000. Meta, thousands. Snap, thousands. Google, I believe, hiring freeze. I think the only one who hasn't is Apple. This is real. These are real high-paying jobs that are in the layoffs. The cover for that is, well, there's so many open jobs, they'll just end up filling those open jobs that were already out there. Yes, because the guy with 15, 20 years of programming experience is going to clearly go fill the shovel-ready jobs, to use an Obama term. No, it's not a one-to-one. It's not saying that these technical jobs that are being lost, there's a technical job out there for them to go get. So we have that cover that's going as well. This State of the Union was strange. There was a return to decorum, though, and that comes from McCarthy. I will give McCarthy credit on that one. I like to watch what's happening in the background during these things, and I always find it very interesting that the vice president and the speaker are sitting directly behind the president, and so the sight line for the cameras is that they're looking directly at him. But take a second, sit back. They're looking at the back of this guy's head. And so all they see for the entire time is the back of this guy's head. So they're just reacting to what they're hearing, and of course they're fully in view the whole time. So every time that Biden lied about something, i.e., Republicans want to get rid of Medicare and Social Security, he would just do that. That's it. That's all there was to it. And then you saw the theatrics of Kamala Harris on the other side. And when Biden got to talking about the murder of Tyree Nichols, I believe I'll give her the benefit of the doubt. She gave a reaction that anyone would give to such a horrific situation. But back to the idea of decorum. There was no histrionics. There was no tearing of the paper. There was none of that. Was Marjorie Taylor Greene heckling? Absolutely. Not quite sure where I land on that one. I know that it was happening quite a bit under Trump, which of course everyone forgets. This idea of heckling is brand new. No one's ever done this on the floor before. So the Republicans shouting down, well, heckling down lies, that's brand new. That's a loss of decorum that we've never seen before. Counting the hair plugs, I'm sure. Those hair plugs bother me, man. They really do. They absolutely do. You know, I talked about earlier the idea that Biden had a speech from the floor of the Senate back in the 90s where he was talking about sunsetting these programs. What I really wanted to do with that video was show folks, remember how whenever we talk about true and international pressure, and then you get all over me for being a jerk because I'm picking on a man with a speech impediment, I always love to point back to the 90s and the 80s and say, show me that man's speech impediment then. That is not a speech impediment. That is from his cognitive decline, that the man can't speak. The man can't talk and digest his own thoughts. It's not a speech impediment. That's always what I see when they pull up these old videos. I mean, you could even go back to when he was vice president. He was much more clear in how he was speaking, and he could have conversations with folks, which is to say, adjust and react to what is being said to him. But back to the weirdness of the State of the Union, I was also thinking going into it that he was going to go after the extreme MAGA Republicans. He didn't do it. I thought he was going to say, actually took the over on a 7.5 for how many times he mentioned the previous administration. He only did it once. I think they know they got all the political capital out of running against Donald Trump in 22. Donald Trump and the threat to democracy, that's all they could run on in 22. I think they've spent all that capital. They have to move forward. If they can't run on what they've done, because our standing on the world stage is terrible, our diplomacy hasn't worked, our energy costs are through the roof, our inflation is through the roof, there's thousands of tech jobs that are being laid off left and right, the interest rates are through the roof to combat the inflation that was caused by their overspending. They can't run on these things. So if they can't run on that, and I don't think they can run on the fear of democracies at stake, I think they're going to have to run on, here's what we want to do going forward. A message of hope, perhaps. Which, of course, then the quick question back is, well, what have you done with what you've had? You had the House and the Senate and the executive branch for 2 years. You had the Senate. You had the executive branch. What have you done since then in the next two? I think what they're only going to be able to run on coming up next is a message of hope. I've been wrong before about these things. They may go back to, it's the end of the world, it's the end of democracy, vote for us or else. They might go that route. And I'm going to want you all to come back next week because I'm going to be paying attention a lot more to what's being said in regards to the finish the job message. My initial reaction, like I mentioned at the beginning of the show, was that was him saying, let's finish the job in the next 2 years. And it might actually be soft open, a soft announcement that he wants to run again in 24 with that messaging being, let's finish the job. Well, it looks like we have our next show up. You want to bring her in? We'll do a little handoff. There you are. Look at us.
Hey, Keith, what's the matter?
How are you?
You didn't like the State of the Union address?
I absolutely loved it. I think you've been on here for a little bit to hear me rant and rave about it. Can you give me your 2 cents in the next minute or so before I give the show over to you?
I didn't really think it was worth wasting both of our times. I loved your breakdown of it, and I thought that somebody would do an awesome breakdown, and I'm really happy that that was you, and I didn't have to sit and agonize through it like most of the country.
Well, I appreciate the vote of confidence. Did you see it live, or you just been listening to me rant and rave in this moment?
Oh, I've been listening to you. I like the breakdown. I've also heard, all of the other, a lot of the other hosts talk about it as well. So I got the gist of what was going on. And so I fortunately, I had something better to do that night than to, to watch Joe Biden. I think
this was something better to do than watching that State of the Union. But I had folks ask if I would do a real-time live, and we did it. But for my viewers, since we haven't really had a chance to do this, can you tell us a little bit about your show and what you have on next tonight?
So my show is called The Rookie American, where I cover government politics, current events, and also talk about the lukewarmness that socialism has crept into Christianity, and how we can kind of heat things up before the end is coming soon, man. So we got to make sure we educate and get the word out as quickly as we can. My next guest on the show is Andy Berger, who was a sex trafficking victim. So wow. I'm very, very, I'm looking forward to speaking with her for sure.
Well, in that case, then let me hand the show over to you. I appreciate everyone for being here tonight. Please stick around. And with that, I'll see you next week, 7:30 p.m., hopefully on Right America Media.
Great
Have a good night.
show, Keith. Great show. All right. Well, stick around because first we're going to do the intro and then your girl is coming back. Welcome to the Rookie American Show. I'm your girl, Lisette Carter. Hey, listen, if you're new to the show, you don't know who I am. American is a combination between American and Puerto Rican. The Rookie goes back to my softball, like to call heritage baseball background that I had with my dad as I was growing up, instilled in me the discipline and the hard work that I needed to get to know how to do hard things in life. And that's where the Rookie comes from. That Rookie American is my third book. I have two other books before that, The Rookie Wifey and Rookie Mommy, for those of you that don't know, which I never actually talk about, but they're there. They're Christian-based books, really to kick the devil in the teeth. Because at this point, a lot of people think, or they blame God for the things that the devil is responsible for. And I want to educate people on saying, hey, listen, you're going to be a good mom. Here are the ropes. God has blessed you with this blessing. Here's a strategic and very practical way of going about it, mindset-wise. Same with the wife. You know, the devil's mission is to break families and to break marriages up. And my mission is to prevent that. And so that's where my second book comes in. And my third book on government politics and really educating the nation on socialism. At the heart of socialism is to remove God. America is the last to fall to that. And listen, when it comes to hot button issues, and if you don't know what a hot button issue